and true. I see the light in you. Can you dig in my soul? Can you smell my whole life? Alright. Let's see. Let's see. I guess I'll do this whole. Fuck off, Siri. Day 40. Ba-da-da-da. Okay. There's that, and then I guess I'll add. Wait, wait. Let me see there. So it's that. Oh. I added a bunch of new discords, so it's taking a hot second to find the places I normally spam in the early morning. A visual writing buddy. That sounds fucking atrocious. I'm sure I'm just as cringe. All right. Well, you've done it again. All right. Huh. The volume seems like a little low, or maybe I just normally talk louder. This is fine, though. Trying to see what I might have edited. Probably fucking mouse ran along the mixer and nudged the master fader or some. Yeah, I'm definitely quieter today. All right, let me fix that. Mm-hmm. Oh. You know what it is? Is I turned my mic down during the Martel AMA so that I wouldn't talk all over him. Like I was just right at the point where it was starting to clip, and all right, this has to get out of my frame of vision. I'm fucking tired. I don't know why. Tired of it all. Yeah, definitely a little tired of it all. But just the same, we got a story to get to today. So we are now on day 40 and working diligently on writing a new section right here. So we're finally at the point where we can actually get into the RAPAXORIS. So today I'll mainly be writing a new chapter, just trying to convey some of this action from the POV of Rigel rather than just like a random narrator POV. Tell you what happened yesterday. Yesterday I did an AMA with Craig Martell. He's the guy that runs 20 books to 50K. I thought he was the creator of this group, but it turned out it was some other guy who created the group, but he's been running it for like the last 4 years or so. And running it seems like it's just like a lot of chat dadding, like stop fucking promoting your own books, be professional, and so forth. So I had this conversation with him yesterday. You can see it on the channel. I'm going to do a little reorg so that all my AMAs and interviews and stuff, so forth, are just in one section right there. So it's easy for me to link them to other people. But yeah, essentially, it was a very interesting interview. The guy, his experience had like a lot of parallels to mine. Like he had gone to DLI too. He was a Russian linguist, and yeah, I could just really identify with like a lot of the stuff that he was saying. And yeah, the most fascinating part for me was that he just immediately went into self-publishing because he was like an old man, like me at the time, where he's just like, I'm not gonna fucking get rejections from some blue hair, like fresh out of college, whatever. He's like, I fucking used to like blow up civilians all over the world. So he put out a book himself, and it did so well that a traditional publisher approached him because I think he sold like 10,000 units or something like that, which is really, really solid. I've never sold 10,000 units of anything in my goddamn life, and I would very much like to. So highly recommend. That AMA is only like an hour long because he had to go walk his dogs. One dog, I think. But he had like a few different things where he talked about how having a dog was really useful for him in his writing because he would get up and have to like walk the dog, and that would just break him out of sort of his leg lock and make him think about it. And I thought about how like every morning I would go walk before we do this writing, just to clear my head and get new ideas and sort of put myself in the real estate mindset. So yeah, interesting dude. Definitely, as I was talking through it, I could hear about how his experiences in the Marine Corps had shaped him. And as I was looking at the way that he had, because I asked about his writing practice, he had configured all these things that basically incentivized him to just write like a crazy amount, right? Like he bought his covers beforehand, so that like if he didn't finish the book, then money was just wasted, right? He was paying a woman basically on a monthly retainer to deal with his backlog, and she was editing 100,000 words a month for him. So if he wasn't writing 100,000 words a month, he was just wasting his fucking time. And he was writing 100,000 words a month because he was doing about 3,000 to 4,000 words a day, according to that whole thing. And you guys have seen me, even at my like very swiftest, I never am writing 3,000 or 4,000 words a day. And he's writing about 3 to 4 hours a day, which is about, to me, you know, having been in this game for years and years and years, that's about the limit of my writerly constitution, putting in like 3 or 4 hours. And then after that, I'm like tapped for the day. I have no more mana and cannot do this any longer. So it was a really interesting AMA. If you missed it, check it out there. He has written 108 books. About 60 of them are like co-authored ones, and co-authored books are a lot like feats in the rap game, where you do spit some bars and so forth, but generally it's like a younger, shittier writer that's doing the heavy lifting, and you're just adding some stuff in and lending it some credence with your brand. There are, of course, like many instances of genuine collaboration where people have a shared idea together and so forth, but I'm very skeptical of writing partnerships where the two people aren't fucking. And even then, it's like, obviously, like one of them is the real author of the bunch, and the other one is just filling in for some hole in their personality. But I have a very crotchety old man style of writing, and but that guy was fucking for real. I think you would have liked talking with him. He was very careful to keep his personal politics out of it, but it was easy to tell like where he lies. Like I'm a Marine Corps major, fucking living in Alaska. I wonder what that guy's politics were, but he's very reasonable in general, and had like the singular goal. He's like, I want to sell books, and one of the things that he talked about that I don't really think about a lot is identifying what his readers liked and giving them that thing. It was like kind of an intangible thing. I asked for a few examples of what he was looking for, and one of his was like, I have to have a strong female character, or they just won't be happy with it. And the female character has to be involved in the decision-making processes in the book. And of course, all of his characters are in the Marine Corps. His name is Craig Martell, I haven't. I will be honest with you. I haven't read any of his books. I offered to read one. I'm like, hey, I'll read something of yours if you want, so I can have a baseline. He's like, don't fucking bother. He didn't say don't bother, but he just ignored that question. And generally, it's because when somebody's like that, is they don't need you to read their shit, right? They're like, I'm only concerned with my audience purchasing these books. I asked him about his wife, who's she's like a professor or a Russian expert or something like that. Like, how many of his 108 books had she read? And fucking none of them. And that to me was like astonishing. And I think it makes a lot of sense too. If you were in a partnership with somebody and they don't like one of your books, you can fucking tell right away. And ooh, it's not a good feeling. Like the girl that I'm dating now, she will never finish Zeros. She's not a science fiction reader. And and she had me read like one of her literary article or scholarly articles and so forth. And immediately I'm like, like I have no business reading academic articles, right? Like I don't understand that kind of writing. To me, I'm like, I could cut out the first half of all this and still like convey the same information, because there's so much academic writing has so many, like the first part of it just seems like, and I read like a bunch of different articles, their introductions and so forth are just kind of like a lot of mincing about, saying like this is this and that is that, and it all seems like kind of obvious to me, but they're not all the same. So yeah, there was that. The other, I'm sad to announce that my editor is late with the Gravid manuscript. He's now 2 days late. Tim, get your shit together. I don't fucking blame him, because I was really late getting the manuscript to him. I thought it would take like 2 weeks to finish an edit. It wound up taking like a fucking month. But I put a lot of work into it before I sent it over to him, and dealt with like a lot of the little niggling grammar issues. I was hoping it would make it easier for him, but I think it's just a brick, man. Huge, like 800 pages is just such a fucking monolith. And they're not 800 easy pages either. You know, they're 800 pages where each one needs careful consideration, because the whole thing is just meant to be like this finely sharpened stiletto that just right through the heart. Well, that's a good way to start there. Anyhow, so that it was a great interview, but unfortunately the Discord moderators kind of that I was depending on to like open up the channel and do like a server-wide ping, they fucked it up, right? And didn't do those things, and I don't have the rights on the server to do them, but I didn't try to do them either, and I didn't raise a big ruckus or whatever. I get the guy in there 15 minutes beforehand and fucking was ready to rock, and told him I had the shit going. So that was a bummer. So it wound up being like just questions instead of a fucking AMA, and like my screen is just like the same idiots asking stupid questions. So that was kind of a bummer, but at the same time it gave me it let me ask all of the questions and lead the conversation and really get deep into it. So I thought that was worthwhile. Honestly, I might edit the video or something to just take off the Discord screen entirely and see if I can get some more rotation on it there. So to me, that was like a really interesting interview, and I learned a lot from it, and really made me think about my approach to marketing and so forth. Those guys have like a lot of resources for how to market your book and so forth, and I'm going to take a deeper dive. Mainly just I need to take a look at how Amazon click marketing works and so forth. But yeah, and that's the only interview that I've really gotten for Zeros so far. And I've reached out to like 20 or 30 podcasts at this point. Yeah, what does Reddit know about carpentry? Like, I'll give you some of the questions that people ask. Like could a fucking could 100 Canada geese beat 100 Chihuahuas in a fight? It's like, have you ever met a fucking goose or a Chihuahua? The geese would fucking maul them. Jesus. And then another one was like, if the Cookie Monster has one oven and it takes 12 hours to cook a cookie, how many cookies could the Cookie Monster cook in 5 years? It's like, wow, why don't you just say the Holocaust was a lie, you fucking coward? So it was that one, and then I think Mantis got in there and asked a question, but it was just completely inane. 100%. Oh yeah, the geese fucking annihilate. They're so much bigger, and they don't fuck around either. They're mean as shit. They'll like buff at you with their wings. They'll bite you with those big horns and shit like that. The Chihuahuas are just they get mauled. Oh, it's not even a question. And it's not interesting either. So it really was maybe a blessing in disguise that I didn't have other people posting quick because I had like some a few. In fact, like one of the things that I felt like I did in that interview is that I was like leaping to conclusions so fast based on my own experience that I didn't give him enough space to like fill in and find the conclusion. Right? Like when you ask a question, it's going to lead to like a conclusion, and like a few times I had to like kind of stop myself from like leaping ahead. Does this mean therefore that? But in general, like a pretty free flowing conversation, and yeah, it's like great of him to give me an hour, and I kind of fucked him over because I'm like, hey, we got 50,000 people on the server, and the number of people that saw that whole thing, 6, probably like 6 or 7. Just because you're really reliant on that server-wide ping and so forth. I don't know. They kind of fucked me over there. They're good people, but the main person that does AMAs there was on vacation that week, and she tried, but so I may ask them for more rights to where I can just fucking set up an AMA and do like a server-wide ping and so forth. Because I think that the AMAs that I do are relatively high quality. Like I'm I put in the time. And they do not have any better interviewers. Anyhow, that aside, oh fuck me. Hold on. Fucking Max. No, I don't want to. Don't ever ask you that. Don't ask me that again. Fucking Siri. All right, so if you didn't get to see this one there, so we took that bad chapter and just put it into an emotional kind of argument between. You get some of Stirs' POV right here, and I think a lot of people are like, I wonder what Stirs is thinking about this whole situation right there. I know I am. And Stirs is thinking, like, I could put me hook through this young faggot's eye and have my knife halfway through her throat before she could squeak out a hex. And then we'll steal the boat and pilot it to Narnia. Like, that's kind of what he's thinking right there. If only the bitch wasn't a Wrath's daughter. Who's scared of a Wrath? Just another graying brute. We talk a little bit about how being a tough on the docks is kind of like a dead-end job. And he's worried, like somebody younger and whatever. And then we talk about the vision of each of the characters a little bit there. My yellow hat is all la-di-da-di-da. And El Shalah, apparently we've said that she is nearsighted in this, right? So that's something that I have to keep in mind or take that out. Yeah, yellow hat was addled. Sir's knuckles never lied. Okay. So, got a lot of work to do. This is going to be 2 chapters. Red Promise of Dawn. Meant to row another quarter day. Yeah, this is just them hoisting up our reef boat. Okay, so they fight some giant spider. It's not very effective. This is what I wanted to read. The undergrowth died. God, that's terrible. And this is how I don't like this description either. Okay. So this is a good spot. My indents are 0.49 inches instead of 0.5 inches. I think it's a Word thing. Like it's a Word margin thing because this document was originally edited in Word. It's gonna be that's like an hour of work that I signed up for just by having the wrong fucking margins. Um, Actually, if I were fucking smart, I would just take a morning right now and set the entire fucking document to zero point 0.5, which is what I'm gonna need finally, and then just go back and fix each one. So maybe if we're yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm. Shit. Scheduled AMAs can and should start with a pre-screen list of questions, which is public, so people won't request cancels or will propose follow-on questions. Yeah, I mean that's one way to like definitely go about it. I thought about doing that honestly, like just posting some of the example questions that were pre-screened. But in this case, it didn't matter because like the whole thing was just kind of a shit show. Usually, we don't do that on the politics server because so many people have like an axe to grind. They want to hear about the JQ and the fucking globalists and the stolen election, and actually, like most of them are communists, so they want to hear about the fucking downfall of capitalism and the bread lines and the Mao was right and the Google form approval shared sheet will do it. Yeah, it's just normally there's not that much planning involved on these things, and like I paid the price there. The other part of it was like early in the morning, so the people who would normally do it were asleep, and that was the only time that I could get the guy to do it. He was like he was pushing for like earlier even. Doesn't preclude live questions. Just give you if you watch the AMA, I had like zero difficulty running the interview. I don't think that there was any like real dead air or pauses for questions. Just off the cuff, I could just run the whole thing. And I think it was just the channel wasn't open, so nobody could get in, and there wasn't a server ride announcement, so it was just like a fucking like whoever stumbled in and saw like, oh, there's an AMA going on. Wonder what this is all about. It's fucking annoying. But I don't want to like overstate because for me it's just like it's a pretty big deal to get that interview in the first place, and guy had a lot of interesting things to say. He really is successful in a bunch of ways that I wish I was. He's got 10 years on me, like 10 or more years on me. But at the same time, like I can look at what he's doing and try to find out what's applicable for my own particular thing. Yeah, I'm sure. Sure it's oh, that's a little sad right there, where like I just have this big upset, and I'm like, fuck it, and just power through it, and it's like, of course it's smooth, like you've been doing radio forever, and I just wanted somebody to pat me on the back and be like, good job, but that's not gonna happen. Yeah, it was quite smooth. Yeah, yeah, I really can bullshit forever, which I guess I wish I was bullshitting a little bit better at this running. Yeah. Shadowfield. I'm already there. Smithy Well. Yeah, it's. I'm just rewriting the entire chapter, so it's just. It's going to be like a little bit of that there. Yeah, it's sadly like another quiet day. I thought that I would have the manuscript back for Gravid to edit today. I do not have the manuscript for Gravid back to edit today. So probably tomorrow that will show up, and oh fucking, it is still plural. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you're right. But here it's more useful for me to just like focus on getting their writer. Yeah, yeah. I should not pay. Yeah. Um. Yeah, that probably should be flipped there. But like we'll get nowhere if we're like focusing on each individual line. This is a writing section. I have to try and rewrite the whole chapter here because the original one, it only has like one real note that I want to keep, and I want to re-envision the rest of this. So maybe I should do this off stream. Um, and don't take that as criticism of you, because you're absolutely right. Like, it's probably better. Yeah, that is better, actually. I shall grow for my sword. Let me give you a couple of points here, because those were both legitimate edits right there. Is that just your new uh, your new euphemism for jacking off? Just groping for your sword. Mm-hmm. No more blue skies. Yeah, I don't want to. Fish's face. Mm-hmm. So I've seen that before. Just thunderheads kind of like sweeping over a mountain, and you can see the rain falling as like a gray curtain. Mm-hmm. No, I kind of like that. No more blue skies. Green black thunderheads rolled over the mountain, trailing gray veils of rain. Huh. Mm. Mm-hmm. We should get off the river soon. My daughters. What the fuck was that sound? I've heard that before. There's like a scraping sound in the background. And it's like a sound effect or something like that. Maybe it's something with Spotify or something. I show that active or whatever. But yeah, I have no idea what the fuck that is. Like, it sounds like a file being dragged into the trash can or something like that. But it's not anything in my audio setup that I'm aware of. That's distracting. We should get off the river soon. Um, Rigel would be at the stern. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Are you hearing my audio? No, I don't think so. I hope not. No, no, he's like sliding into fish POV, and I don't want that. Mm-hmm. No, yeah. See, we get into like this whole fucking thing where Kegels. It's ridiculous. No more blue skies. Okay. Um, so I'm gonna call it in terms of like trying to stream just creative writing here because it's just obvious I'm like getting fucking distracted the whole time and not making the progress that I need to. So it was kind of like an experiment to see if I could do this anyway because normally I can't get this kind of writing done when I'm on stream. Don't feel bad at all. This is much more a limitation of me than a like whatever. It's just it's a spot where I need to turn off like the four screens that I can see there and really like sit and focus. It's not just turning off chat either. Um, it's I can't get into the headspace that I need to, and it may just be like a rough day for it or whatever. Some days are like that, but I am gonna pop off the stream and see if that helps. To tell you the truth, because yeah, I'm getting kind of nowhere with this. I've been fucking with this paragraph or whatever there. It may just be that you can't really do creative writing and have these distractions like kind of flying around. Call it ASMR voyeur stream and get 100,000 views or whatever. So I'm gonna do some tooling on this chat. I'm still glad I got to like pop in and talk about what was going on with their writing and so forth. I've got a little bit of that going on. Um, the I got approved on a couple of different ARC sites where they send your ARCs to different people, but so far I haven't gotten any bites on it at all. I don't think anybody is too interested in the ARC. Um, yeah, which is crazy because talking to this other guy who has spent years like building up his audience and so forth, he's like, yeah, fucking military science fiction is doing gangbusters right now. But how do people get into that, right? How do people really come across? And I think it must be like a relatively insular community because I don't see like any Discord servers for that kind of science fiction. Um, I couldn't find any like big YouTube reviewers and so forth. Like, where are those people um, talking about books? Like, how is that spreading from person to person? And I don't really know. And that's because I don't know. It's time to like step and find out. It's all word of mouth on military bases, huh? Yeah, I wonder if I should just fucking um, try and get people who are instead of fucking going at, so when I thought about it, I was like, well, maybe people who like Warhammer would like this book because I fucking like Warhammer, and it's got some of the neat decaying empire shit that's going on there. Yeah, maybe I should just be fucking targeting sailors and fucking pilots and so forth. That's how I got all my military science fiction books. What are they reading on bases like that? Is it all like Dan Abnett stuff or is it like fucking Hadelman or whatever? Yeah, I mean, we can do something fruitful with this, like just a conversation there. Um, I heard that I'm going off stream book. Uh, it's also people reading books in spaces where other people can see them, and definitely like a lot of paperbacks changing hands in barracks and so forth. But that's a lot of that's the old way, right? And those are usually like traditionally published pulp manuscripts and so forth. I'm totally not against. Like I would definitely do some promotion where I give away free books to troops or something like that. But every author is doing some horseshit like that, and you really need to have a solid foundation of ZYZ target sailors. Sailors are no joke, man. Sailors like you. Like it's a good thing. Um, Passing books around the towers and checkpoints and shit like that. Well, it's not like I can just fucking drop ship books to bases and so forth. Yeah, it's a shame that like my military contacts are so few and far between at this point. But I was never much of a military person. Yeah, there are a lot of these guys on Facebook and shit like that. Um, maybe I could just offer the ebook for free to sailors or Facebook groups and so forth. Oh, you have a bunch of those? Yeah, I'm actually on like a one Facebook group for people who went to the Defense Language School, which I went to there. But yeah, I'm sort of there in the role of I was a legendary fuck up. So yeah, man, I would be totally open to just providing some books and shit for different people. I think I'm gonna set a budget of $1,000 for marketing for this book, and that could include printing copies and sending them to people. That could include direct marketing and click-based whatever on Amazon. Most people say that Facebook ads aren't super effective, and I think that that's fair because if you spend a lot of time on Facebook, you're not going to spend a lot of time reading. They're just all my homies are officers now, and they're always going to schools on the mainland. Yeah, fucking tech schools and so forth. There, I can see that happening. Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I got to think about it because honestly, like the people who are going to be, if we think about who our target audience is, it's mostly men for the most part. I haven't gotten a great feedback from women on Zeros for the most part. Granted, it's like a very small group of women, but they're definitely not interested in reading it. Hardcore deja vu. See if Moneybags Ra wants to help out. She's connected with the aerospace industry. Um, well, the first thing that we got to do is like, are sailors and soldiers going to find this compelling, right? Because it's not a it's pretty anti-military. Um, Talk to her off public chan. I don't. She's already like hooked me up hugely. I don't want to ask for more favors. Um, but and also like the thing about aerospace is if you're in aerospace, you cannot be tied in to my program, right? It is a huge issue, and that I don't want to cause problems for people. But yeah, mil aerospace. I don't think that we've talked about this previously. So yeah, let's do something useful with this time. File new, and let's start brainstorming ways to like market zeros, right? Because I think that's something useful that I can do today. Here we go. What? Why are you fucking zeros marketing brainstorm? Okay. So one, war gamers, people who play 40K are going to enjoy this kind of thing. Um, uh, okay, so we'll get to that. Military people, police would fucking love this story because it just there are a lot of anti-military people in the military. They're not there for long, right? Um, Really, it's such a pain in the ass to be in the military that you do need to have kind of like an abiding love of the military to stay in for any amount of time. You can't be fully hating it and stay in for long. Uh, uh, so find some local veteran rehab place and provide some copies for men to read and chill out. So I like that. I like that idea. I will tell you that, like, when we're thinking about marketing, we're thinking about marketing an ebook, right? And we're thinking about not putting physical books into spaces, which is generally like an ineffective way to market at this point. Just you can't reach as many people, and most consumers are going to read an ebook. Um, like they're anti-mill after mill. I was anti-mill the whole time I was in there. So Logic can potentially get some copies into the hands of people. That's great. I would be happy to ship you however many copies of the hardcover or softcover you think that you can get into the hands of some people. Because really, like another part too is anybody that has any kind of a platform or basis for working on it. But let's think a little bit more about our market. Okay, so general, here, I'm going to bump this out into different categories just so I can talk a little bit about each of them, right? So I know that people who play war games and shit like that will enjoy this because I'm one of those people, right? This is the group that I fit into. Throw around soft cover would be totally best for that. Yeah, man. I mean, the soft cover is about the same size as the hardcover. This is one way that I may be fucking myself. It may be that I should have made the paperback like actually paperback size. I could retypeset it if we really need to. So let's think about Warhammer's military, police, uh, injured vets, etc. Because it really does have that like gravitas there. All right, so fans of hard SF. Fans of hard SF are a hard sell in general, right there. They really need like a very peculiar style of writing that's similar to like what you'd find in The Expanse. And so let's see. Um, who's the Forever Warman? Okay, so I don't know enough about Gregory Benford or John Scalzi. I've never read anything by Scalzi, so I don't know if it fits into his particular crowd. I know that people who like the Forever War will like some of the signifiers in Zeros. It does some of the same things there. As for the Expanse, it's just kind of like a catch-all for what people like in modern science fiction. I don't think my book shares a lot with the Expanse right there. Uh, let's general and the okay. Uh, he's one of those types there. Okay, cool. So we need essentially like each one of these different people. You have to consider a different pitch for them and find out where each of those people lives and try to target that particular thing. So one thing is that so somebody told me that essentially you can do targeted marketing on Twitter, right? You can select a subset of people who you think are important on Twitter and have ads appear for just them, right? Local game stores. Okay. Okay. So the problem with local game stores is that there is no distribution channel for paper books into there. It would have to be like people that I'm personal friends with and so forth. My goal is to sell 10,000 copies of this book, right? So picture the effort of me like going into a store and being like, hey, would you carry this book and so forth? And they'll say, yeah, sure, because they like me and they know that I buy way too many fucking board games, right? That is a channel to sell 10 copies of this book. And we just discussed like me spending like 2 hours, like going there, dropping off the books, having the books, talking with the guy. So it's just it's not going to fit into our economy of scale there. Um, let's see. Oh, I would totally just ship like crates of books to any agency that dealt with veterans and so forth. There. All right, so okay, websites. Got something going into the sun. They'd be all over if you work that right. Uh, say X is the one military people might want to. All well. You got something going into the sun. They'd be all over that if they. Yeah, it's a suicide mission into the heart of the sun, which was the tagline that I sent yesterday. It's a shame to market it like that because it really takes out some of like the cool surprise in the book. But I think you have to do that a little bit here, just because I'm not famous enough to have surprises. Transcript of the audiobook for the hearing impaired. um, all right, there's many different threads happening in the conversation right there. They're really hard to hit. Um, okay. So if you want to reach people who are into games and so forth, you have to engage with them on their level. So you need something like a fucking like a solitaire game or something like that that is created for like plunging into the sun and so forth. That's a lot of development time. I have, unfortunately, police officer friends as well, but I don't know anything about their culture or how to use it. There's no real difference between like an MP and like a policeman. They're doing the exact same shit. It's just like a different level of hardcore. So in terms of military, maybe. In my experience. Uh, okay, maybe we can consider like some inroads into military Discord servers. In general, like this is a terrible way to fucking market. Every time that you enter a Discord server, if you want people to pay attention to something creative that you're doing, what you're signing on for is like 3 or 4 weeks of getting to know people and having conversations and so forth. If you're not taking those steps, you're just a spammer, right? You have to be involved in the process. And like really, I'm spread pretty thin on like there are just so many Discord servers that I'm on with that purpose. And the only ones that I really have any success promoting on one is like the JRE Discord, where I like all the people in the JRE Discord, right? I like what they're talking about. I think they're fucking dope. So let's go about servers. Send a copy to Jerry. Yeah, I'm sure he would fucking read it. While he's in the middle of his ice bath. Who the fuck is Jerry? That's I'm a moderator in the Joe Rogan Discord. I don't know how I became a moderator there. I just hung out there. Unfortunately, the hip hop Discord is not really suitable for this purpose. Right there. But yeah, it's just Joe Rogan has like a big podcast where he interviews like a lot of people. I'm a fan, honestly. Like I like a lot of the conversations that he gets into, and he's just been very successful creating his own space. But what I usually reference is like the people who are in the Jerry server, and all they do all day is like post each other fucking memes of themselves smoking pot and eating pizza, and fucking working out and making fun of each other. I like that whole thing. Okay, so Wargamers and Warhammer 40k, it's like flight sim enthusiasts, people in that space, I don't have a strong idea of how to resonate with those people. If there was like one big game that everybody played, you would think like, oh, we'll just make like a StarCraft map where you're trying to get into the heart of the sun or whatever, or like a Flash game or something like that. But that's not consistent with. I have 2 months until my start game, and that's a lot of effort. You could see that I was actually trying to do that with my Tempest contest. I was hoping that somebody would have like a strong basis and then I could write it around the story. That did not happen. In fact, and I actually lost two longtime viewers as a result of that contest because I couldn't stop laughing at them. So the military angle is essentially seeing if you can do targeted advertising towards people in military social media groups. Um, so I think that's like honestly like one of the stronger potential spots. So let's look at some of the vectors where we're going to try and reach people. Okay, another place where I have kind of an unfortunate presence and so forth is like a lot of people who are like in America First, Trump type groups, like me, and will like military science fiction because they kind of have a hard on for authoritarianism, and a lot of this book is exploring people who have a hard on for authoritarianism. Um, and to me, like like personal politics don't matter when you're trying to sell fucking books. So people in more right-wing spaces are going to be probably more prone to be interested in this book because if I want to generalize about science fiction readers who are like very very left-wing, they're a little bit more the at least the popular thing in the market for those people right now is things where they're doing deep explorations of gender and like the things by authors from like out of the middle of China or Africa or something like that, like new voices. I have a hard on for your give those people space cards with the Zeros cover stuck on. I could totally make that. God, that would be fucking ridiculous right there. Advertise on Gab. Honestly, it's not a terrible idea. Um, okay, so Gab is one spot where you can potentially advertise. They're still going. Rumble. So I just saw this the other day. Rumble is essentially like this new fucking non-censoring YouTube thing. I just heard about it yesterday because Rand Paul got censored by YouTube because he was talking about how face masks aren't effective at preventing you from contracting the virus unless they're like N95, which is true. Rand Paul has gotten into some like very publicized scuffles with Fauci, and he's like calling Fauci a coward and a fraud and all this other horse shit. View inspector. Let's take off this inspector so that you guys can see this a little bit better. Odyssey should be listed. I don't know what Odyssey is. Um, so one thing that this definitely does have, you could interpret Zeros as having like a strong anti-Chinese, anti-communist stance, right? Because it does talk about, but really we're not like the Hezo collective prosperity sphere is fascism. It's not real communism, and it talks a little bit about how like the end stage um, of honestly, it's like Rumble, non-censoring YouTube video clone. No. Like this is a point. Like during a brainstorming session, all input is helpful here. It's all fascism all the way down. Yeah, when you really get to like any significant link in one of these things. So I don't want to cut out left-leaning groups, but a lot of people won't be as favorably disposed towards me there. Yellow Peril is really not meant to be like anti-Chinese, and like in the book we do like I think a very respectful treatment of some classical Chinese themes. I love the way that the poems are interspersed throughout there. So let's put that there. So that's something there. But I think this is like the smallest part of the audience. Um, you can read it as support for fascism or heavy criticism of fascism. From my personal viewpoint, right there, I don't think that fascism is an effective way to govern. But I think it's eventual, and I'm hoping that it's the kind of enlightened fascism where an AI is making the decisions, and it's in some ways incorruptible, but ultimately everything does kind of descend into like the brutal and raw use of power, and I don't see that as like necessarily a good thing. Um, Grouped in with Orson Scott Card. Getting the book banned is not a strategy. One, you can't get a book banned from Amazon. Um, they literally have the Turner Diaries on Amazon. Um, my fake spot AP that identifies dodgy sellers just went off and warned me about Odyssey.com. They really do face significant censorship of their viewpoints in a way that to me is like creepy, right? I'm 100% on board with those guys in terms of them wanting free speech and wanting not to be censored and so forth. I fall much more into their camp because I can tangibly see their views are being willfully suppressed, and they're not ignorant to the fact that it's going on. No, just to want to become famous, right there, banned in like public Portland schools. So one thing that somebody told me who works in publishing is that controversy does not sell books, and so far I've seen her be right in like every single instance there. But it may be that neither of us knows how to use controversy to sell books. The other thing is, if I get too controversial, I will get fired from my day job, and I will have to write full time. So when you see me doing my other shows and so forth, I'm always cognizant of the fact that I'm on thin fucking ice all the time, just because my I like to do crazy shit on the internet. All right, so I don't know a good way to get involved with this whole thing. Other than like if I already had like a huge board game review channel or something like that, that would be a way to reach those people. Or if I were a champion at some kind of game or had like a big Twitch stream or something like that, that's probably the best. The time is too limited. Um, for controversy has a low success rate for translating into book sales. For every Salman Rushdie, we have 100 Lena Dunhams, and it's like very, very true. Um, so I don't see a way to get into like Warhammer people. I'm trying to join like some Warhammer discords and so forth. That might drum up some interest there. Um, I kind of hoped that I could get like a big name reviewer in one of these things. I mean, that would be the top down way to do it. Um, um, yeah, I would have to be much more famous than I currently am for them to be no such thing as bad publicity. Eventually, I'll have to get there, just because like the core of who I am is indigestible to everybody in my life. No, but I just like I have relatively strong beliefs that are incompatible with being, I guess, woke or acceptable at the moment. Like the things that I think are funny are not not socially acceptable. Um, and you can't change what you. We were talking about this the other day. So this is like just an aside between us. Rondito was criticizing me for finding the images of him pissing in his own mouth funny, right? And he's like, if you were a real friend, you wouldn't find that funny. Because I was like, I can't help it. Those are fucking funny. Um, and I told him at the time, like, what you find funny is involuntary. Laughter is an involuntary reaction. The things that you find amusing, um, you don't have a lot of choice over it right there. So Let's talk a little bit about advertising with the military, inroads into military discords. I think Facebook advertising there. Uh, so another big spot that where people like this congregate is they watch YouTube videos about guns, right? Um, I would wager that anybody who watches fucking Forgotten Weapons um, would would potentially do this. So you could potentially blow your entire advertising budget for a mention on like an episode of the Forgotten Weapons podcast or something like that. Like you could get one mention. You could, I think, just like a blurb there is probably like it, just that guy saying, "By the way, here's a book." That's probably $1,000 right there. Um, Getting my homies to drop a few copies at their mainland schools or like brigade. Well, then you run into like a distribution problem right now. And by the way, at the moment, all I can get are the copies that say proof or whatever, and I think I can order them about 10 at a time. So I'm very willing to do that, as like ARCs and so forth. But we basically shipping out. I think I can ship people 10 of these books at a time. They cost me about $3 a pop to print, right? So, and then shipping is not free with the KDB program. So every time I drop off 10 books, we're probably spending about $50. So if our budget is $1,000, we just need to keep that in mind. I can ship people 10 books for $50, which is it's rough, but when you do, if I were ordering the final copies, then I'm ordering them like 100 at a time, and the cost gets lower. Um, have you done things like this? Research how to write for military audiences. Um, have I? It's very difficult to pitch writing articles for places. I am not a stellar nonfiction writer, but um, let me see. Which guy are you talking about right there? Um, right at the bottom. Which guy are you? Oh, I think you're linking. If you're putting a link in the chat, maybe it's deleting them. I only need about that many. They talk it up. I don't know anything about books, but I know how books get passed around. That's like that kind of like. Okay. Talk to the author. Say this one on Twitter. What? I don't. I don't. I'm not following your thread. You might have to explain. Um, Linking to his page. Yeah, it's deleting your link to the page because it's on YouTube. So you might have to send me to just send the link to me on IRC because I think YouTube just automatically deletes fucking links. Yeah, it do. It do indeed. Yeah, it deletes URL posts. So I can take a look at that in a second right there. So another part. So I think police. So um, one of the so what YouTube channels do these people consistently watch? They watch gun channels. They watch soft shit. Um, they do history podcasts. Um, what else are they into? Fucking motorcycles. And this all shit. I know this because I watch all this shit. Ba, 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 ba. All right, so, but they're a good spot to get into. Yeah, I don't think that this is a whole thing. Math and physics discords are not, in my experience, not a good place to market. I do have like uh, here's the reason why. It's because there are so few of them, right? There really are not like a lot of high end math people and so forth. And what I'm offering to them is not it's not informed by something with like a strong math consciousness. Like we did our best to get the physics in this right, but it's not what they want, right? Like I'm not a mathematician. I can't like I can mention like Rayleigh Taylor instability and so forth, but I don't have like the deep understanding of it. And I think I'm like a little bit of a fraud. Hello, Claw of Time. We are doing a marketing brainstorm right here for how we're going to market. Oh God, do I not have a? I don't have a copy within arm's reach, but oh, I do. Oh Lord, why the fuck? Why did Excel pop up on that computer? What did I fucking touch? That's weird. I hope that machine's not fucking owned. Uh, there is some fucking water in that keyboard. But so this book right here, Zeros, which is coming out on October 1st, and now we're trying to figure out what groups would be interested in reading it there. All right, so let's think about here's the most important blob of people to get is people who like science fiction. Um, let me see. I could tell I'm being a bit annoying with your input. Nah, you feel like you're being annoying with your input, but the rest of us aren't seeing you as annoying, right? That's just anxiety on your part because I'm very interested in what you're saying. We just couldn't see your links because they were getting deleted. So yeah, like during a brainstorming session, everybody's input is valuable. So don't feel there. So the traditional way that you try to reach these readers and are unsuccessful with it, I would say largely, is people will do things like try to put ads in the back of Asimov's and so forth. I don't personally find that kind of advertising effective. Like I wouldn't like see a book in the back of it and be like, huh, whatever. What I would need there is to have seen the book and like the back of Asimov's or whatever, and then read a glowing fucking review. Okay, so this is a way that I would check out a book, right? I don't give a shit about like blurbs unless it's like a very high level um, type of author, and even like, and I don't know anybody that would like blurb this book that anybody would give a shit about. Um, I reached out to one guy, the one author I knew who it was like he's not feeling it. He's too busy, and in general, people are going to be too busy for this kind of shit because I can't give them the same thing in return. Um, but what I can potentially get is some like really glowing radioactive reviews on Amazon and Goodreads because it's a really strong title. Um, However, in my previous efforts to get reviews, let me see. Um, I've never had anyone so succinctly and knowledgeably understand how anxiety works and reassure me, kind of taken aback. Oh yeah, I think I know everything about anxiety. uh, if you date in New York, you will have a crash course in how every kind of anxiety works, and also like when you're trying to give input into a group project and so forth, it's just very that's a good place for anxiety to rear their head. But it really is a session where any idea is a good idea, and where your unique viewpoint, like I have already seen, and I was talking about this the other day, right? We were talking a little bit about because our author, actually yesterday, I was talking about this. So we were talking about like giving readers what they are looking for, like giving them the things that they like within their genre. And this was something I hadn't really considered as much because I'm usually like writing a story and thinking about like the things that I want to have in it and the things that I think are important. And I don't give a lot of thought to what the must-haves for readers are. And I was thinking about Rapazoris. I was thinking about like the points where you, Milkness, were like, oh, I like this guy, and like I don't, like, ooh, I don't like this dude, and like just the parts where, oh, amazing, like this thing's gonna happen. Those super valuable for me to know about because like I can, in real time, I can be like, all right, I'm hitting the mark for things that readers enjoy and um, like maybe readers really want to hear. Oh shit.
50 copies.
Oh shit. Do you want me to mail you 50 copies? Thank you, Spacey Wall. God damn. That's a glorious amount of dough right there. Um, am I mailing them to if I'm mailing them to London, I will definitely send them to you. Or are they 50 copies that we want to do for ARCs? Well, that is super helpful. Um, yeah, that's fucking amazing right there. Cool. So now we have 50 review copies vectors. We have 50. Okay. That's fucking amazing right there. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have 50 sponsored copies that we can deal with. That is a huge amount of sponsored copies. And even though I hate mailing shit out, I will get into I'll get some prepaid mailers and so forth, so that we can potentially I will put the time in. So one of the things that I do with when I mail out ARC copies, all right. So let's think now that we have 50 sponsored ARP copies, who okay, who are 50 people who would like to receive this book? Who would have an impact on marketing it? So we have that there. Okay. So right-leaning groups, they're later in the thing, but they're going to appreciate some of the themes of the suppression of speech and history. Right? There is a little bit of 1984 running through this, in the point where you can't talk about Tybe or anything there. And then but I'll tell you that people who are concerned about this and so forth do not form like an easy to market to block. And generally, they're very difficult people. So that's kind of difficult. Um, so this is one book reviewers active on Twitter in the science fiction sphere. This is an approach that somebody on the Int80 Discord or Int80 Slack recommended to me right there, and they have like kind of like a cutting edge idea of how Twitter marketing works that I don't have. I don't know anything about marketing. Um, so steps here would be one. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the criticality of good Amazon reviews and so forth. Previously in my writing, I have never fucked around with fake reviews, right? My last wife does digital marketing. I can ask her for advice about this. Yeah, don't do anything uncomfortable for me there, but I'm open to any input there. I know he had the Amerindian woman with the huge titties, which is a solid one. I think she was a crow or something. Now we good? The last and final wife meme. Oh God. Um, Targeted right-leaning groups. Okay. And I do want to find some. late stage communism. Uh, so I would really like to get through this without drubbing up a bunch of fake fucking reviews and writing them myself and so forth. I've never liked that kind of thing. But I will tell you that finding people to go through and like actually review uh, books in an honest way was like pulling teeth. I literally put like 80 hours into getting reviews for Zen and Ink, and I saw no impact whatsoever on sales, like on all these different things. When I talked with Craig yesterday, he's like, I don't send out ARCs, and I got 70 fucking reviews in the first couple of days, and they were like a high glowing because it's all people that already like my books and so forth. It was his first wife. Okay. So hopefully was that your only wife thus far? Or I guess we'll find out. So I don't have any fucking idea how to get people that like actually sit down and review this book. What I've done so far is I set up something on ReadC, which I need to check on. Yeah. Well, thank you both for your help there. So I've set up something on a site called ReadC, where they will provide your book to a bunch of people and do this, that, and the other thing. Then I also set up, so we have that thing on ReadC, and then I set up something with Book Sirens. And what they do is they essentially like reach out to readers in their particular genre and provide arcs and so forth. I think I budgeted like $100 for using each of these sites. ReadC was like $50. The other one is like $10 to set up, and then $2 for each person that actually reviews it. And I set up 100 slots, but they're never going to use it, right? Let me see. So those are two like ARC sites. I would be surprised if I generate more than like 10 or 15 reviews there. My goal is to get 50 reviews for this before it begins. And I think if I do nothing else in terms of marketing, right? If I can get 50 reviews on Amazon, they don't even have to be good reviews, but it would be great if we were like above a 4-star average with 50 reviews on Amazon. So in terms of importance, so if I had 50 people, right, who bought the book on Amazon and reviewed it at 4 stars or above, I would be much, much closer to the threshold of success that I want to be. Amazon Zap Logic, and I can't post reviews in their community help at Amazon.com, and you did nothing wrong, and you were just purged for no reason. Well, I'll tell you like one way around that. Just make another account. Easy. Like make a brand new Amazon.com account and sign up for whatever. Just, got to pump your credit card details in there once more and fucking buy the book. So here's a spot where I'll level with you. I'm like tired of not getting these. And literally, I think for every hour of effort that I put into chasing down people and asking them to review the book and sending them emails and pitching them the book and book review sites, I want to say that every hour that I put into chasing people and writing emails and shit like that, I get like a quarter of a reviewer, right? Out of 80 hours of doing it, I think Xan and Ink got like 25 total reviews. And we can actually look at how this worked previously. Amazon.com. Okay. And you can see, so Hawks at the Diner, I didn't do any outreach, and like I have 11 total reviews of Hawks at the Diner. Survival Mode, I sent it around to a few different people asking for reviews, but generally I just dropped it out there. God, I'm at 4.6? That's fucking crazy. So it's got 33 reviews. People really like that. Master Arcanist, I didn't do any outreach, and most people did not read it or like it. The Right to Bear Arms, yeah, so I probably put 80 hours into searching for reviews on Xan and Ink, and I just didn't get fucking anything there. Set a coupon. I'll look into Amazon reviews for books do not choose because they're so obviously pumped, right? So, I mean, is that all that's going on? Is that these are so fucking pumped that I can't compete without pumping myself? Because I'm willing to pump if I have to, but they really are like pumped, and I don't. I think that Goodreads is like a little bit less. So, Deepedu. This is a lady where she was really upset about the. That's a guy where I reached out to him. Uh, this is definitely an LRH. Wait, I haven't. 2017. A fair amount of violence. Interested to see what the sequel brings. That'll never fucking happen. Oh wow, yeah, like a few different people. Accent and book lover. It's a fucking. So some of these are like fucking fake right off the bat, right? There's people who like LRH and so forth. But really, really, I put so much time into that because I understand that book reviews are very important. It's just five of the author's best friends or whatever. Yeah, that's always going to be there. Like their mom thinks something is cool, and let's take a look at Goodreads. So Goodreads is a less, or it's a more organic, sales-based or whatever. Ugh. Oh man, yeah, these reviews are not looking good for some of these dudes. People like Hawks at the Diner though, but yeah, like some of this is like all around 3.5 or whatever. So these are probably more legitimate. Fuck off. I'm not gonna discover and read more. Uh, the Vesper coup is from Ricardo right there. But yeah, it's like Jordan O. and a lot of people who just watch LRH. And what a G. Um, Fucking Ruckus reviewed it right there. So I have to think a little bit. Reviews for time cost are going to be word of mouth. Recommendations for first degree. Um, the other like cost effective way that you can potentially do it is there are definitely firms where they will go through and solicit tons of bullshit reviews, right? Um, which is kind of like a slippery slope right there because your reviews get dinged and then Amazon's like, hey, why are you fucking doing this? And blah, 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 blah. And it lowers your overall confidence rating in the people. Um, yeah, everything is so faked and forced and so forth. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to go down that route. But increasingly, it's like where are you coming up with this? It's very difficult to get like the 50 people to like come through and read the whole thing, especially when most of like what you're essentially asking is like, hey, will you do me a favor and spend 4 or 5 hours reading something and then write something about it, right? That's a lot of effort. And the first five reviews are like the editor, editor's dog, editor's friend, author's mom's friend. So yeah, and I have to like tap out to like all my personal friends and so forth. And like, please God, review this on Amazon and buy it. Like I'll. So people are buying fake reviews for their competitors to ding their reputation on the fake spot sites. I don't think that many people are really doing it. Um, I'm sure that that's happened like once or twice, but it's just it's kind of a fucking stretch to do that whole thing. I'm not saying it's not happening anywhere, but I don't think that many people are involved in that kind of deal. So I have to think on this one, like how I can get 50 organic, because I think the book is it's at least a 4-star book if you like that genre, right? I don't, I'm not objective, but I think an average of people are gonna like really enjoy this thing, and like it's such a like pretty book the way that it's put together, and it tells a good story, and I think it's quite interesting overall. So I think comparatively, it's not impossible to try and shoot for. We'd like to get around 4 stars, and we like to get around 50 people. So that's the number one. That kind of shit happens when there are two sellers of the same product. I could see that happening. Yeah, absolutely. I would do some dirt like that. So the important thing with Amazon, which is the primary vector through which this book will be sold, um, the very important thing there is that the only reviews that count are people that actually buy the book or download it on Kindle Unlimited. Um, and so one of the things that you do is okay. So when the blog launches, I want to have 3 days where it's available just for free. Like anybody can pick it up; it doesn't cost anything, even on Amazon, whatever. To try and get an initial pulse of interest from people who enjoy free books for the most part. Just people who wouldn't normally read that genre. Those are very low quality hits for me as readers and so forth because they're just like you don't put as much emphasis on something, but it is something that, in general, if you were an unknown author or whatever, you want to have like a significant free period. And I've done this with the other books, with like survival mode and stuff like that, where we'll make it free for a certain amount of time. So glad I didn't become a writer, like a proper one. Fuck all this. Oh yeah, it's a terrible. It's just well, you're seeing like the very difficult initial stages where I'm like trying to figure out how can I market this? How can I start from like essentially a position of nothing as a writer where nobody gives a shit about me and the stuff that I do? Um, so on my quest, I think um, so now that I have two big interviews that I've done recently. One's with Craig Martell that we did yesterday, and it is a fantastic interview. I'm probably going to clean it up a little bit and like just take out the fact that it's on Discord and just wipe that part of the whole thing out and just put a new graphic on it. So I'll work on that a little bit today and then re-upload it and then private the stream because frankly it's a little bit embarrassing that we had going on in the background. We were attempting to do this AMA thing and it didn't fucking work out. But I can. You can't do free orders with free days. That's right. Like the book has to be published before you can do free days, right? And like what we're trying to do, right, is get some pre-orders happening there, and then we would like to basically have 50 people signed up where like the day that the book comes out, they publish their review in a perfect world, right? Um, Use your bouffant to seduce Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. Started competing. Prides itself on proactively banning authors for tweet. Call it usmazen.com. That's one angle that we could potentially do. So so far, like one of my greatest marketing strengths is that I'm a good, in general, interviewer, and I can reach out to people who are. But it takes a lot of time to get interviews and so forth. So I think I need to focus more on getting interviews, just for like the next couple months and so, and eventually we'll get like a pretty good catalog of these things. And then steps for that include a Okay. Um, let's see. If we're going to put any money into advertising or paying for online marketing, let's have a call about it. If I'm not sure how to set up and read metrics, it's probably a good idea. And then ugh, fucking annoying. Okay. I don't think AdWords works for books for the most part, but mainly the area of interest is in Amazon's click-based marketing, and there is a great deal of information on the 20 books to 50K site about people who have really gone in depth with this and figured out what works and what doesn't work and so forth. The primary effective marketing for this is going to be, I think, maybe like 75% through Amazon, and then in that 25%, things like targeted Facebook ads and targeted Twitter ads and so forth. Watch his words crawl. Talk with Spathy about online anal. I mean, he is an expert in that particular field right there. Um, let's see. Alky Lizard says, just tell the Republicans that Democrats don't want them to read it. So, there is a spot where I can create controlled opposition, right? And it's a shame that I haven't really established a useful idiot type like a persona on Twitter. So if we want to go that route, we would generate some kind of like woke school type Twitter personality that did nothing but, and in fact, I think many people have done this, and like many of the online outrage generators are like essentially Titania McGraths that are like a little bit more understated, where people have created them just to be foils so that they can dunk on their imaginary friends and like appear like victors when really they're just fighting with their own fucking chimeras and confabulations and so forth. It's definitely an angle that you could go with, and you could generate some drama there. But the penalty for getting caught is quite severe, and it's pretty fucking ridiculous when you really think about it. So, just so the R's that the D's don't want you to read this. I mean, I can certainly generate like a lot of legitimate D's that are like, this guy's a fucking Nazi. But again, I don't want to get fired from my day job. So that's the outer buffer of where I can go with that. And honestly, like I would really like people to be interested in the book for its own sake, and not because some retarded drama that I drubbed up a la Chris Chan. Right? I don't want to be a fucking Chris Chan. Nobody wants to be a fucking Chris Chan. Now, let me fix that a little bit. And the other part of it too is when you, and I talked with Craig about this a little bit yesterday, when you make the play and you say, I am going to market to one side of this fucking stupid ideological divide and not the other, you are cutting out half of your potential readers, right? If you clearly like state your politics, you're like, yeah, Trump won, you know, this election was stolen, get them immigrants out of here. If you're doing that, you're cutting off half of your audience, because book readers, like even though this particular book is like more towards the military and so forth, when I try to sell Gravid, those aren't the readers. Like those military readers don't give a shit about Gravid. They will never try to buy it. And because I am not like a partisan person for the most part, and I'm writing a lot of books that are all over the ideological spectrum, just the things that are fascinating to me, it's very dangerous for me to get pigeonholed as one side or another on a partisan debate that really I just don't give a shit about, right? I care about, will the species survive? You know, I care about, like, will we be ruled by robots? Are there really reptilians in Congress? That's the kind of shit I care about. I don't really give a fuck if I have to pay 50% of my money in tax or 60% of my money in tax. or 100%. Like that shit just doesn't fucking matter until they start really censoring hardcore. I'm not going to pick a side. So yeah, so even as I'm thinking about it right there, the idea like the shill and controversy, because soon enough, like that controversy will hit me whether I like it or not. If I continue to attend conventions and do interviews with people and talk with people, somebody is going to come out and just be like, "This guy fucking loves Hitler," and I don't like it. I don't love Hitler. Like I'm not a big fan. I thought he was pretty ineffectual. Um, more political, more partisan plot or storyline to go viral, which is the only way they succeed, and then that author is stuck, right? They can't do anything else because they're beholden. Their audience is then those people, right? And if I were a true believer in that side, it would make perfect sense to go that way. But I'm not a true believer in that side, and I would feel very constrained if I could only write narratives where like a blonde-haired daughter fucker was like the savior of mankind. I would find that so boring after a little bit. Uh, so I can't do that. Um, so that's one thing that I can do. There is more interviews. It is well past time. So all right. So the audiobook is it's just now that we're into August and it's much cooler in my attic. Fortunately, I am going to make this a priority to work on the audiobook there. Um, it's just a sales vector that I can't ignore. It's something like 20% of my potential readers will only read on audiobooks. And it's something that other independent authors in my sphere do not have access to. They don't have the level of recording that I have here. So few of them are going to have the money to pay for a real decent treatment on, fuck, why can't I remember the name for Audible? ACS, I think is the whole thing. So it's a really like I've just been so lazy on this, and it's just because it's like a 40-hour week of work where I'm doing nothing else, where I just record this audiobook, but it's so time to begin doing it. The other thing that I could do there is I could potentially I can release the audiobook chapter by chapter on YouTube as each one is completed, as an attempt to build up some kind of following there. Um, that's something that I could potentially do here. Um, and then you can look into where science fiction. So how many days? How many chapters are in Zeros? Where are you, Zeros? There are 25 chapters in Zeros, right? So we need to get into a position where by 25 days out from October 1, we can start doing one a day. And then we can have the 25th chapter release on October 1st. All right, so that's the way to do it right there. Ba, 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 ba. You can release one chapter a day, culminating with the release date of the book. On the release date, we have a party. Cool. So here's this game plan, and this just makes immediate sense to me as a way to do it. So I want to do like a YouTube video of the audiobook right there, and it may just be something like where I do this setup, recording into this microphone instead of whatever, and we'll do the ACS edition a different way where I'm acting and so forth. But it really just could be where I sit in this almost exact configuration right here, and we do a narration of the book and then edit it, just do like a chapter by chapter reading where people have something visual to see. Might make like a little intro graphic or whatever, and just read each chapter of the thing. And then combined with that is like sort of a marketing call to action. Like, hey, if you enjoyed this book and you want it to be successful, please buy a copy for a friend and leave a review on Amazon of what you thought about the whole series there. So what I'm playing on there is playing on the idea that I can make those videos some kind of modest success. I think like to get any kind of traction there, I'd have to have about 4,000 or 5,000 different viewers there for your call to action to reach something like 5% of those people, and have them actually do that one thing. And I think that's it. Probably need to be like about 10,000 different people would have to do that if I wanted that to happen somewhere between 20 and 30 times. So that's not impossible. You could potentially consider. So we could potentially, you could release that audiobook part of it as a podcast, right? Where you just do a different episode every single day. You have some kind of syndication there. Then you're potentially hitting a new audience. And you basically like package it as a podcast where it has like a different episode and like some blathering and commentary and stuff. Really what it is an audiobook. What's the best audio? I've only done one audiobook recording so far, and it was for the Right to Bear Arms. I haven't recorded any other audiobooks because I'm very fucking lazy about it. And I'm not good at doing the audiobooks yet. I really need more practice. And it's just one of those things where I just put it aside and just haven't really gotten into it. So I think that's actually a pretty good idea to try and distribute it on fucking Spotify as a podcast, rather than just as an audiobook and so forth, because many people do like narrative podcasts, but they just make it like a week by week. Or what they're really doing is like they're selling a novel, but it's formatted a little bit differently as like a radio drama and whatever. So I've actually gotten so I released the audiobook as an album on Spotify and just had random people downloading it. I like that idea. This is like really, this is the winner right here. This is the idea where I can potentially reach out to a larger set of people. And if you just have it where how do you get it to be visible and tempting on Spotify? You don't. The amount of money that you need to throw at Spotify to do that kind of marketing is gigantic. The other thing that I can attempt to do is offer like free sponsorships and so forth, because I want to have ads on there, so it seems like the thing is bigger than it is right there. Like, thank you to Bosto's penis clamps, the number one penis clamp, prevent nocturnal emissions, and I want to have that whole old timey. I could really do this if I wanted to do the podcast. You could do it up as like a radio drama type thing, and I could have like fucking old timey advertisements and so forth. I could have advertisements within the context of that world too. Okay, so that's what I really like. So you could potentially do that Spotify podcast as a wartime radio drama, and just have like sections of where there's like some propaganda about you do your part for the Hezo collective prosperity sphere. Save your saliva. Don't just spit it away. Every every unmilked cock is like a fucking bullet in the we can do that whole thing. well, let's see, kind of like Starship Troopers, the media radio drama is additional work. Um, but what we're looking for, a part of the brainstorming session is we have to do additional work because the work that I've been doing thus far has not been effective, right? It's clear to me that additional labor will be required. Just the same way that I had to do more labor with the actual writing and so forth, I need to do something else if I want to have success, right? And yeah, so okay. A few of the things that I can do that are really neat with a podcast there is like I can have like some crazy fucking synth pads leading in. I can give the whole thing like a real grimy, kind of industrial, and I have like a lot of sound effects for Foley and that kind of thing. I could really do that up, and do like an effective, like I can have like footsteps against planks and shit like that. We can have some sound effects. And honestly, like that to me seems like the best way to promote it, because like what I'm actually successful at for the most part is radio, right? People pay attention to me not because of their writing, but because of what I do on the radio. So, uh, Johnson's projectors, hold tight fastener and screw show. Oh shit! Like Hezzo's best nutrient mash. And honestly, like what we're talking about is like an hour per one of these things that I would spend drumming up like some kind of propaganda type piece. The other nice thing about it is like the whole thing can just be audio, right? I don't need video type shit to make a go of that. It can just be an audio broadcast and maybe like some slideshow of images or something like that um, for the YouTube set. But yeah, once you cut out video, like everything becomes so much easier. Audio only is just, whew. uh, I think that this is a really good idea for a promotion, and I think that it has legs, and more so than any of the other ones that. Uh, Flash mob promotional stuff IRL done by LRH pals and NYC. It's got legs, whistles. Maybe something like that could be effective, but I'd have to have a really good idea. And I will tell you that LRH fans in NYC are not willing to help out with shit like that. A flash mob would be me and whatever prostitutes I could hire on Backpage or whatever Backpage is now. Um, so we've got that going on. To me, this is a thing that I can actually do there. I can do more interviews with science fiction adjacent people and build off of the background of like the good interviews with Lawrence and Craig and so forth. That's a good idea. Um, and do that on Anchor and make that like a separate type thing. But I think ultimately, like the idea of promoting the podcast in some kind of way like that, that could potentially get some traction. But really, what you're talking about is like for that 40 to 60 hours of effort that we're talking about right there, we out of that 40 to 60 hours, I think we could get 200 to 300 readers. Uh, New YouTube channel for every novel podcast. I don't think a new channel is a good idea. It just is, it's so hard to start from nothing and build something up there. But I can definitely do like a new playlist. And I need to reorg the channel. All right, so uh, concrete steps. Okay. So we'll do uh, like the 5,000 SUX. Big money, big prizes. I love it. We'll do something like that. So I think the audiobook packaging is there. Okay, so we're gonna do that. For getting reviews, which is my number one thing. Uh, cool. Um, Tag your Spotify thing as a well. The podcast would be I'd wear a Handmaid's Tale outfit and hold up zeros like the Bible and shout at the sky. Yeah, you would reach exactly two people the whole time that you've done that, because I've done that kind of like man on the street shit. Um, it's fun, but it doesn't it doesn't translate to sales. Uh, all right, so getting reviews. Yeah, I think that call to action is the only way that we can legitimately do it, and we'll have to count on some randos from other things. Uh, I don't think it's worthwhile to reach out to critics. I don't like the targeted Twitter reviews thing and so forth, because I think most of the people that I would target on Twitter would not enjoy talking with me as a person. Just at like a convention and so forth. All right, so four. Mm-hmm. Record myself doing the zeros fake adverts for. I mean, I can just distribute the different. I can distribute each one of these as a track to an album and put it out as a music album on Spotify, in addition to like the Anchor podcast. Um, so that's like an additional vector that we can do it for there. Hmm. The zeros adverts would have to be really fucking funny to get any rotation that way, and I'm not sure that I can. Um, But one thing that does lead me to, like as I'm considering it there, is you can have, you could do like a YouTube series of like funny skit-based advertisements there. There you edge into like a lot of fucking effort. Like that would be most effective if I had like some kind of animation thing happening or whatever. You know, like that one guy that does the weird RPG type rotoscoped animations or whatever. He even has a tutorial for how he does it, but it's just more effort than I can put in at this point to do that effectively. But but I do think like some propaganda style advertisements as images and gifs would make for like a somewhat effective advertising type thing. So these five things are like the most I can probably do. There. So the concrete steps. Most important is probably creating the audiobook as like a podcast type thing and releasing it in that way, where you put like a little window dressing on it, like a cool dark sounding lead in, and like a few advertisements at like the front and the end and so forth, and just doing it as a short podcast series. So one thing I need to look into there is how long does something have to be on Anchor before it is considered an episode? If it's like, and then I have to see how long each chapter. I think each chapter is only like 10 minutes or so. So it may be that we have to combine ones there. And if that's the case, I need to know beforehand because I want the countdown to end on, and you can also space out like it doesn't have to be every single day with the 25 chapters or whatever there. So you could maybe do like batches of 2 or 3 chapters and lead into there. But so that is possible. All right. So I think those are good concrete steps for ways that we can get into it. And while we're there, we need to add the we need to find a way to use, because we have 50 copies at our disposal. I don't want to just print them up and leave them on somebody's doorstop, right? I need to find something to do with that there. And thank you so much for those, Spathy. I will think hard on a way to get those into the hands of people who can make it fucking happen there. Whew. So I have a lot to think about. I'm glad that we could do something useful here, but it was like very apparent that I was getting fucking nothing done with the whole. Yeah, I just can't write that. So for Saros. Okay, so this may wind up being like much more effective for me than. Okay, so I'm gonna hang on to that right there. Saros marketing brainstorm. Cool. Well, thank you. Yeah, we did get something done, and now I feel like I have like a little bit more direction in which way to go with the whole thing. And I think you guys had some great ideas, and I would not have gotten to where I was going. So, yeah, we gave up on the Warhammer gamers. I don't think I can do anything there. It may be worth like soliciting paid reviews from smaller like Warhammer type things. And the nice thing is, if you're just like, hey, I don't have a lot of money, but I would gladly offer you like $50 to like say something about this thing. Sometimes they'll read it anyway because it sounds interesting to them. And they might actually enjoy it there. But that's kind of like a crapshoot. So the military type thing, Logic, if you have any ideas there, I would be interested. The injured vets and disabled and so forth, I'm happy to like send free copies and so forth. But like they eventually, these charities just have like the problem of a lot of people trying to help them out, and like it is only you have to have free shit that people want. General fans here. So here we just need to reach those people. We just need to have like good organic reviews, and I think the way that we can do that is by attracting people with like a good podcast type setup. YouTube censored. Want me to make it big so I can say I know that guy and get laid at gay bars. Same. I don't think that the Twitter targeted thing would bear fruit, but it's something I'm going to still look into. I don't think that I can get much out of Discord that I'm not already getting. So that's basically it. All right, that's what we figured out. But not too bad. So I'll start working on like one of the strengths that I really have here is going to be like production of cool propaganda type images and just like ripping shit off left and right and making like a weird, compelling soundtrack for some kind of a podcast or whatever there. And getting like a bunch of Foley and everything happening. That's fun to me. Like I enjoy that type of shit. And I really just need to knuckle down and start doing this audiobook in a real and meaningful way. So cool. Yeah, very productive. And thank you guys for helping me on this. Yeah, do check out the Craig Martell AMA if you're interested there. And I'll try to clean that up a little bit and get it into some kind of usable thing. Are we still going to be having editing streams after tonight? I think we will probably put a pause at day 40 right here. If I don't get, if I get fucking Gravid back today, I'm probably going to put about 7 days into it. And even if I don't, at least for the rest, I'm going to try and finish this chapter, honestly, because I do want to finish this chapter. So let me put some work in. I'm going to rewrite the chapter, and after that we can come back to it, because I do want to finish book 1 of RAPAXORIS. But just today, like I need to try and do that off stream if I possibly can. So I'll see what I can summon here. and I got a lot to think about and work on. Thank you guys so much for your help, man. Yeah, it means so much to me. I don't know if I say this every stream, but yeah, so few people really give a shit about you and your dreams, and like the people in that are listening to this right now have been so fucking helpful to me, and really have kept me going through some very difficult and dark times. Spathywah has been a total G. Logic has been the Edidays. Milkness is, I think, closing in on that #1 spot right there. She could get the yellow hat, there. But I really fucking appreciate it. And if it goes without saying, but if there's ever like a project that you're working on where I can be of some help and not knowing me is not a detriment, I'm happy to return the favor in whatever way that I possibly can, because this shit means a lot to me. All right, anyhow, enough sucking my own dick. Later, everybody.